Hey, I'm Sven Masterson, one of the co-founders and mentors on the Mentoring Men platforming community. And in this video, I want to talk to you about perspective. I'm here in front of my chicken coop. It's a very warm, sunny day here in central Pennsylvania, and I am shoveling chicken shit. Now, I'm glad YouTube is not smell-o-vision, because the smell of kind of composting, fermenting chicken turds is really something that can make your stomach turn. And I have to do it usually a few times a year. And in spring, what's happened is there has been so much buildup over the winter when it's really kind of impossible to muck, that there's literally like 12 inches sometimes of just a mass of chicken turds, and it can be really difficult to address this time of year because of the smell, and we have to wait until it gets warm enough for that kind of mass to unfreeze so we can get in there. But that heat also creates just a malodorous experience. There's a big college word. So I have this truckload or wagon load, I should say, of chicken turds, and it is just layers and layers of disgustingness. Now, I'm saying disgusting, but that's what I want to talk to you about, because disgusting is really just a perspective. You see, to me, I associate the smell, the contents of chicken poop as being really a bad thing. But to the chicken, it's just part of life. To you and I, our own excrement is just part of life. But we go through life with a certain perspective about some things, and that perspective can oftentimes be the source of our suffering. And so when I'm out here shoveling this stuff, it's not a pleasant experience. But the more I tell myself, this is disgusting, this is disgusting, this is disgusting, the more I'm letting my perspective actually color how I experience this moment. And so what I often do in these moments is I reframe my perspective. You see, this chicken excrement over here in this wagon is headed for a compost pile. Now that compost pile, it'll sit there for months and months. It'll get stirred up with other excrement from other animals, from garden waste, from kitchen waste, and it's going to turn into very deeply fertile soil. And so when I think about that when I'm shoveling these things out, when I'm shoveling this unpleasant mass of turds out of this chicken coop, that what I'm actually doing is I'm building fertility. Now that fertility will feed garden beds. Those garden beds will feed me better than organic produce. And that produce will feed both myself, my physical body and frame, that of my children and people I love. Now this happens all over the world, right? So if that turns your stomach, the idea that chicken poop is going to ultimately produce the food you eat, well, then you need to educate yourself, because that's how the world works. And so I have the benefit of being really close to that system in my home, that the very contents and waste of animals that also make food for me, I'm coughing because of the smell, are going to end up producing massive amounts of fertility in the same life. And when I reframe the moment around that, when I reframe around, well, what do I get for this experience of shoveling chicken shit? I can be reminded that I get fresh eggs every day. And those fresh eggs might seem like no big deal to some people, but when we've had these like bird flu scares and all this stuff recently, when eggs were expensive, it's been really nice being able to count on reliably fresh eggs. But more importantly, I also get the experience of learning to reframe, of learning to be able to see unpleasant things in a different perspective. And the moment I choose to see a more life-giving perspective, like that of the compost value of this chicken turd, the fresh eggs I get from that, the personal and character development I get from the process, then immediately my suffering just stops. Now, I still smell the chicken turds. I still am working with it. I still have to do the unpleasant work, but somehow that changes everything. Now, when we speak to men, especially men going through a relational crisis, when they're experiencing some of the hardest days of their life, it's easy to only see the contents of those moments as chicken shit. It's really hard to pull back and choose to see there's something else going on. That these moments in your life will become the fertility that feeds you later, that will feed your family, that will cause good things in your life. Now, somebody might say, well, Sven, how do I know that's true? How do I know that's true? Well, you can know it's true by choosing that it will be true. Because I could just haul all of this compostable manure right to the dump. I could do something not meaningful with it. But I also have the possibility of choosing the meaning I want. I can choose what I'm going to do with the chicken turds. I can choose to compost it. I can choose to see value in it. I can choose to play the long game of turning it into soil, of turning it into fertility, of turning it into food. And so it's not happening to me, it's happening in me. And it's happening in me first by the deliberate choice to look for a better life-giving perspective. And then second, by refusing to live in any other story but that one. And so I'm going to haul this to my compost pile. I'm going to have a smile on my face, even though it stinks, even though it sucks. I'm going to have that smile knowing that I'm choosing to make something good out of these turds. And if you bring that same energy into a failing marriage, into a relationship that's going sideways, maybe you just heard that your wife is having an affair or she wants to leave, you can turn that shit into compost. You can turn it into something that will feed you later. You just have to have the deliberate choice to do so and the follow through to make it happen. Now, all of that benefits greatly by being around people who will help you to reframe everything that goes on in the best possible light and who will help you to live in it. That's exactly one of the things we do in Mentoring Men. We help men that are suffering and struggling with chicken shit experiences to turn that around, oftentimes into very fertile soil. They frequently tell us it's the most fertile soil of their whole life, that these moments become major turning points for them, that their suffering turns into thriving. We know it's possible, we're very good at it, and that's why we exist. And we invite you to join us. You can find links below to talk to myself or one of the other mentors on Mentoring Men. You can also find a link to sign up, be a part of our community, join the conversation, learn how to do this kind of reframing, learn how to see the life-giving things in the chicken shit in your life. And I hope to see you there. Until then, take care.